Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Rofrano from the Natural Medicine Clinic in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And today I'm going to talk to you about healing Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, is an autoimmune thyroid condition where your body produces antibodies against your own thyroid tissue, and the thyroid starts to get destroyed over time, causing typically hypo or low thyroid function. And it is the most common cause of hypothyroidism in the United States. Most people aren't even aware that they have. I mean, over 20 million Americans have hypothyroidism, most of which, like I said, is caused by Hashimoto's. Many are even unaware that they have it, and most people that have it are women, although some men do have it. And I'm going to give you an example. Like typically I'll tell a story of different patients I've treated with it, but today I'm going to talk about my own experience because I had Hashimoto's started 10 years ago and was able to clear it up. So I'm going to tell you about how I was able to do that. So, I mean, typically the symptoms that you'll have with this are fatigue, brain fog, just difficulty getting up in the morning, aches and pains, numbness and tingling, carpal tunnel, anxiety, hair loss is a big one. These are just all very common symptoms, even headaches, plantar fasciitis, which is heel pain, low sex drive, infertility, and miscarriages, very common for low thyroid function, just some chronic infections, constipation. So, and there's many, many more symptoms beyond that. But as you can see, it can really make you feel terrible. And the reason why it mainly goes undiagnosed is typically when you go to a doctor and get lab work, they will check just a few different things like a chem screen, CBC, lipids, and TSH is the one thyroid thing they'll typically do. And TSH, often it's just not enough. I mean, that's a pituitary hormone that indirectly measures your thyroid function, but it misses most cases. When patients come in, I'll order typically 6 different thyroid values along with everything else, and often the TSH will be normal, but when I look at the free T3 and free T4, they're typically under below optimal ranges, and the thyroid antibodies are often elevated, and that's what indicates Hashimoto's. And so if you're just getting TSH or maybe even a T4, and you're just not checking the others and not checking your antibodies, certainly you'll just never find out. You can go on feeling tired and having hair loss and brain fog, anxiety, depression, just feeling miserable. And what's even worse than that is when you do find, say you go to your doctor and they do find it, they'll prescribe, say, synthetic thyroid medication, which from my experience, many people don't do well with. It's just, you know, synthetic T4. It doesn't address T3, which many people are low in, and they also, if they do know you have Hashimoto's, if you do get your antibodies tested, usually through an endocrinologist, they'll say, and this is what happened to me when I went in back in, I believe it was 2006, 2005. And when I went in, when I found out that I had Hashimoto's, you know, the endocrinologist told me, well, there's no known cause and no known cure. It just continues to get worse. Your thyroid will continue to deteriorate over time, and your antibodies, well, they'll go up, they'll go down. There's no sense in even measuring them because it's not going to get better, and you will just continually need more and more Synthroid as you get older, because the thyroid will continue to atrophy and deteriorate, and you'll get typically more nodules and bigger nodules and on and on. So, I mean, that just didn't sit well with me. I couldn't accept that. So I started really investigating and researching what causes Hashimoto's, what causes autoimmune in general, because at the time I also tested positive for rheumatoid arthritis antibodies. And usually when you have one autoimmune, you have another one, and one or two or more beyond that. So I'm like, there's something going on. So what can it be? That, every health condition has a cause. Every problem has a solution, is my opinion. So I started researching this, and typically and what I found is it came down to the cause of most all health issues, certainly autoimmune, is three: physical, chemical, and mental stress. So to just look at, we're just going to break down the chemical stress component. So breaking that down, we look at deficiencies. So if you have nutrient deficiencies, that can cause your body to break down and your immune system and cause issues. And in my case, I was low in vitamin D, which is incredible because, I at the time, for 10 years, I lived on the beach and was out on the beach, multiple times a week. And I was like extremely low in vitamin D. So that was a shock. And when you're low in D, that can affect your immune system, and it's been tied in with autoimmune conditions. Magnesium I was low in, and that can affect, cause aches and pains and contribute to numbness and tingling and a lot of other symptoms. B12 was another one I was deficient in, and that certainly can contribute to brain issues, neurological and blood issues. So in my case, at that time, I was having a lot of I was having carpal tunnel syndrome, peripheral neuropathy. It was got to be so bad that I wasn't able to even work on patients for a number of years. I had to hire a chiropractor to come in and do the manual therapy while I did the evaluations on nutrition and functional medicine. So, while I figured this out. So B12, magnesium, D, just to name a few. And this is someone, from someone who eats healthy and was taking some supplements, but certainly not enough and not the right ones. That's why testing, and, in step one in our treatment program, which I call Functional and Free, which is a 7-step treatment program to, get to the root cause of your condition and provide long-term permanent solutions. But step one is, getting an evaluation to find out what's going on. So that's what I was doing. Also, other forms of chemical stress besides deficiencies are toxins. So in my case, I was high in arsenic and mercury, which are nerve toxins. Again, the numbness and tingling, carpal tunnel, ulnar neuropathy I had also. So arsenic, I was eating a healthy diet. Well, at the time I was eating a lot of rice. I would go to the Chinese restaurant next door to my office, and I would just load up on, I would get mixed vegetables with rice. I would skip the chicken, and I'd like, just give me extra rice. I thought that was healthy. So I was eating tons of rice, multiple times a week, and I was drinking, this detox shake, which was rice protein, the healthy hypoallergenic proteins detox formulas at the time were from rice protein. Come to find out, it's just loaded with arsenic. Go figure. So anyway, I was poisoning my body. So finding out all these things on pathogens, and a third form of chemical stress are pathogens, meaning infections like bacteria, viruses, parasites, and yeast. So I had, after doing comprehensive stool testing, I had yeast overgrowth. And well, I had a lot of antibiotic use when I was a kid. You know, my father was a medical doctor, so oftentimes we're on antibiotics for all kinds of things. Parasite, I had a parasite also, you know, and people say, oh, that's, you know, specialist, infectious disease specialist. So that doesn't happen in the United States. Well, I had one. I mean, I think I picked it up in Rio de Janeiro, you know, when I was in chiropractic college in my early to mid 20s. A friend of mine went down there for spring break to Rio. You know, I guess we thought we were going to pick up women, but instead I picked up a parasite, apparently. So that wasn't very expected. But anyway, I was living with it for all these years, chronic digestive issues, just feeling terrible. So that was an issue in that. So when you have yeast and you have parasites, it ramps up your immune system, and you're constantly, your immune system's trying to fight this off. And meanwhile, it can start attacking your own cells, in my case, the thyroid and joints. And a fourth cause of chemical stress is food sensitivities. So getting food sensitivity testing is that's what I did. You know, in my case, I was sensitive to many different foods, but gluten was a big one, dairy, yeast, legumes, among other things, but those were the big major ones. So that, you know, can cause inflammation, leaky gut, and and autoimmune, you know, affecting your immune system, because again, your immune system's fighting off these foreign invaders, these food reactions. So once I got all the information, on top of that, you know, going back to so physical, chemical, mental stress. So mental stress, I had adrenal fatigue issues after testing and evaluating that. So I also addressed that at the same time. Was taking digestive enzymes, natural remedies to clear up the parasites, the yeast, and replacing all these nutrients. And you know, over time, I started to get better, and my thyroid antibodies started to go down and down and down. And by let's see, by spring of 2008, they were completely down to normal. So it took, you know, about a year and a half me investigating and finding all this out, and it's been, well, this month actually 10 years that my thyroid antibodies have been completely in normal range. So and you know, and since then I've used that to, you know, use information I learned and research and figure out to help many other patients. It is one of the more common things patients come in with over the last many years, is thyroid issues, Hashimoto's. So, and when I see that, you know, it's, you know, it just, I just put, you know, go through the protocol, our 7-step program, do the evaluations, find out, you know, to get the underlying root cause. So besides clearing up all these sources of chemical stress, like the sensitivities, the toxins, clearing those out, addressing adrenal fatigue, and, you know, parasites, yeast overgrowth, you know, the type of diet I ultimately figured out worked best. So I was gluten-free for a while, and I just found out that did not work. So I started avoiding other foods. The most common food allergens, like the list I came up with that really worked well for me and ultimately helped get me better, was a diet free of not only gluten, but gluten, grains, sugar, yeast, soy, legumes, dairy, eggs, and those are the most common typical food allergens. I call it the free diet, and that's a diet that really helped me. And within that diet is also a candida diet, inside yeast overgrowth, which most everyone that has Hashimoto's, an autoimmune condition, almost every single person I've seen is dealing with yeast overgrowth issues, again, wrapping up that immune system and wreaking havoc on your whole system. So if you would like a copy of phase 1 of the free diet, we'll put a link below so you can just click on that. I'd be happy to share that with you. And the other thing is, again, replacing the deficiency. So typically we recommend, well, after testing, we know specifically what's going on, like when I was deficient in all those things, but most common recommendations, the foundational nutritional recommendations they typically recommend for Hashimoto's and thyroid conditions are natural medicine forms we call active multi, fish oil supplement, magnesium, probiotic, vitamin D with K2. Those are the basic 5 foundational, and then there's specific ones beyond that based on testing. Selenium oftentimes, iodine, which is very controversial because so many people out there saying iodine's the devil if you have Hashimoto's. But, however, when I tested myself, I was low in it, and many other patients I tested are low. You give iodine, and that really helps. If you're low and you replenish that, it helps tremendously. If you don't need iodine and you take it, it can make thyroid issues worse. So that's one thing really needs to be tested before you go around and take it. So the free diet, supplements, and those are 2 of the biggest things that help. And there's a lot of different lifestyle and addressing stress and things like that. And if you're suffering from aches and pains and physical issues, of course, the manual therapy, the physical aspects of treatment, and functional training, exercises, those are all part of the whole treatment plan. But it's important to just know that, if you have an autoimmune condition, if you have Hashimoto's, or any chronic health condition, you absolutely can get better if you first discover the underlying root causes. And once that is figured out, coming up with a plan to help provide permanent, long-term solutions. You find the cause, then you can find solutions in getting better. So yes, you can get better. I was able to do it with Hashimoto's and a lot of other issues that I had to deal with. And fortunately, I've been blessed to be able to help so many other patients do that with everything I've learned. So thanks for listening today. I really appreciate it. If you would like a copy of the free diet, just click on the link below. We'll be happy to send that to you. And if you like this video, just click on thumbs up below. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to get notifications of future videos. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again. Take care.